Gomar Tov. Do you mind for a moment if I'm real with you? This is the sermon I knew I had to give, but the one I've dreaded the most. 3, 4, 5 years ago, I would have much more easily given this address. The concept of dreading a teaching on Israel is unfathomable, right? Yet, hineni, here I stand, your rabbi and cantor, feeling both what is heavy and what is holy. Like many rabbis this year, I carry this deep fear when I step to the pulpit to speak about Israel. I know that if I speak my unconditional love for Israel, my countless prayers for the hostages, and my heartbreak for our family there, some of you may feel that I'm not addressing this war with humanity in my lens. And if I speak about my grief for the suffering and the violence of extremists, others may feel I don't support Israel enough. This is the impossible paradox. To speak honestly with an open heart is to risk losing half the room. And yet, to speak inauthentically would be to lose my own soul. On Yom Kippur, we are asked to embody one of the 13 attributes of God, emet, telling the truth, even when it trembles in our mouths. We are asked to bring our whole hearts, even when we fear they might break. So this morning, I will begin not with easy answers, but with a request that we acknowledge imperfection. Only then can we shine the light of Teshuvah into a world so full of shadow. I want to talk about what it means to love Israel with open eyes and open hearts, to hold her accountable as we hold ourselves accountable, and to still love her fiercely, unconditionally. I know those of you who have teenagers in this room know what that means, to love unconditionally. So I want to begin by telling you my first love story with Israel. I can't say I always wanted to go to Israel. It was woven into the fabric of my Jewish life, yes, but it was distant. None of my grandparents had been, my parents hadn't been either, until I was 20 years old, and my mom went with Hadassah leadership and came back to tell my sister and I that we had to go. Thank God for Birthright. It enabled us to see Israel at no cost when my sister was 18 and I was 22. We went together. I was nervous. I had heard about bus bombings, war, and fear. But when we landed and stepped off the plane, saw Hebrew letters everywhere, walked past the largest mezuzah I'd ever seen, and I heard a man say, "Welcome home," something shifted inside of me. I didn't know what to expect, but I came away changed. My Judaism had a missing puzzle piece, and suddenly it clicked into place. As my beloved teacher, Rami Warnick of blessed memory, once told me, "Jessica, you have the rose-colored glasses version of Israel. That's what you see." And at 22, that's exactly what I saw. But even at 40, after 5 more experiences there, I feel that love tenfold. And now I understand how complex and nuanced it is to embrace it. Being a progressive Jew and female rabbi in Israel was always challenging, feeling like an outsider in Jerusalem. Issues like prayer rights and rabbinic recognition, while significant, seem like family squabbles on October 7th. That day, the ground shifted, reminding us that before our denominations or politics, we are one people united by grief and fear and love for Israel's survival. The crisis became existential, a fight for life itself, not identity or legitimacy. When Hamas massacred, kidnapped, and terrorized our people, I thought the world would finally understand what Israel faces every day, that our whole world would see that Israel extends a hand and she is met with the hand being bitten off every time. Instead, the opposite happened. Our grief was eclipsed. The slogans poured in, "Free Palestine," "From the river to the sea." The keffiyeh became a badge of hatred. We are called colonizers, oppressors, even supporters of genocide. At the same time, Israel's government responded in ways that have raised moral questions. Because as we know, more than one truth can exist. There is no denying that Gazans have been killed. We cannot simply shrug and say, this is war and people die. Judaism does demand much more from us. We mourn every innocent life lost, each one a soul created in God's image. And yet, we must push back on those who are calling this genocide. To call what is happening between Israel and Hamas genocide is a distortion. Under the Genocide Convention, an international treaty that criminalizes genocide and obligates state parties to pursue the enforcement of its prohibition, genocide requires a specific intent to destroy a people. The intent here is to dismantle Hamas and create peace, not to destroy the Gazan people. So where does that leave us? In grief, in pain, and in tension of two truths. Israel must defend herself from terror, and this is an existential crisis. Israel must also choose life and protect the humanity of all who dwell in the land. We know this, but there is a disturbing theme of anti-Zionism that poses itself as critiquing Israel's government. It is much darker and is chipping away at how the Jews are viewed in the public sphere, and anti-Semitism is bubbling up all around us. The propaganda put out by Hamas and its friends has demoralized not only the Israeli people, but also has given permission for evil anti-Semitism across the globe. Cantor Olivia Brodsky and I sat in a hotel lobby in Tel Aviv on Shabbat about 18 months ago. We discussed our fears and realities as Reformed Jewish clergy living in the diaspora. It was a long conversation because the power was out in our hotel and we couldn't get back to our rooms. She recently put her thoughts into a beautiful piece of journalism for the Jerusalem Post. She cleared up the difference between anti-Zionism and simply someone who criticizes the government, but very much supports Israel. She said, "Are you criticizing Israel for its betterment or for its destruction? One is a tool to evoke policy change and improvement. The other is a justification for its eradication and the demonization of Jews. What we are seeing with violent protests, boycotts, and rising anti-Semitism is that many are screaming out for the destruction of Israel and not criticizing the government with hopes that things will get better. As Reformed Jews, we must be clear. Israel has the right, the obligation, and the responsibility to stand tall. She must not only survive, she must thrive with purpose. We must make sure our voices are clearly heard. We can both constructively criticize Israel and love her unconditionally. And when we do, we must look around and know our audience because that criticism is easily misconstrued. So what does it look like to constructively criticize Israel in a time like this? Israel is our heart. For generations, Jews in every corner of the world have prayed facing Jerusalem, having sung, "If I forget you, O Jerusalem, let my right hand wither," and have yearned for her safety and her peace. That love does not vanish when Israel falters. And yet, true love is not blind. When Israel defends herself, as she must, we stand with her. But when Israel's leaders make choices that leave us unsettled, we hold her accountable with the same fierce love we bring to our own self-examination on Yom Kippur. Because critique without love is abandonment, and love without honesty is idolatry. Israel is not perfect. No nation is. But she is ours, and we will not let go. As Rav Kook taught us, just as love of Israel requires criticism, so too does criticism require love. This is our task, to speak honestly without giving up hope, and to love fiercely without closing our eyes. So bear with me for a moment on a modern metaphor. Sometimes, when the language of politics and the headlines grow heavy, we need different tools to make sense of what is happening. Our tradition has always used parables and stories to reveal deeper truths, whether in Midrash or Hasidic tales. And sometimes those stories come from unexpected places. For me, One such story came from not from the pages of Torah, but from Netflix. A film called K-pop Demon Hunters has been on repeat in my house and in the homes of 236 million others. And surprisingly, it holds a metaphor that can help us think about Israel, its scars, and its resilience. K-pop stands for Korean pop, a phenomenon of music that is sure to make you dance in your seats. The plot of the movie is a girl band of 3, 2 are non-demons, 1 is a half-demon but hasn't disclosed it, and then the demon boy band of 4 who sweeps in to hypnotize the crowd through their dreamy looks and catchy songs. The goal is for the head of the demons to maintain their spot on Earth, wreaking havoc on humans. In the film, the characters bear visible marks on their skin, reminders of battles fought and scars of who they are becoming. They cannot simply hide them away. Their marks tell a story, both of wounding and of resilience. Our own tradition has long paid attention to skin and the marks it bears. In Torah, tzara'at is not only a physical affliction, but a spiritual one. The priest examines the skin not to shame the person, but to discern what is broken beneath the surface and whether healing or separation is needed. When the film ends, you realize the humans can't see the demon's scars from the trauma of generations of their people. It was such an aha moment about how complicated it is to understand one another. We all carry scars of our own demons. Israel isn't exempt from that either. For millennia, it has been climbing the steep mountain of survival, when stumbling blocks, booby traps, and detours are all over the place. It has never been simple to live there. It has never been free of threat. She is a land who always has to watch her back. And after 10/7, it's as if a demon of pain was released and reining it back in for constructive work, like bringing home the hostages and creating pathways of peace amongst people, seems so far away from reach. K-pop Demon Hunters also reminds us that Yetzer Hara, our bad inclination, and Yetzer Hatov, our inclination to good, are complex and can exist together. So naming what is wrong and right isn't so simple. What is simple is that we are all humans who carry demons. Whether we agree with one another or not, whether we carry the same values or not, like Rumi and K-pop, we must push away our Yetzer Hara as much as possible to activate our Yetzer Hatov. When we look at what's happening in Israel, it makes us question what we know of those polarized good versus evil. What if what was meant to be good is portrayed by others as evil? This is when we turn to our leadership and say, "What's up? This isn't going as intended. Things are messy." The masses of people in Israel have been shouting this from their rooftops for almost 2 years. Our Talmud teaches in Horayot 13, when they fail. Rashi interprets this as the inevitability of failure in leadership, because failure is inevitable, and leaders are not exempt from imperfection. Rashi says it's praiseworthy when leaders can admit mistakes and seek atonement. Judaism doesn't praise leaders for perfection, but for their willingness to face imperfection honestly. And here we are, in the middle of a war that has turned a good portion of the world against us. And Israel must face its demons and reaffirm its purpose, bring the hostages home, bring support for the region that it's displaced, and strategically bring an end to Hamas and a true path of peace for the region. That is an impossibly tall order. But Israel can't let the demons dictate the path. She must move forward equipped with her Jewish values and high hopes for peace. So on this day, we stand here in the Holy of Holies of time. We confess not only our personal failings, but our collective ones. And we ask, how do we as Jews hold Israel in her glory and in her pain? Our Haftorah from Isaiah gave us the answer. Is this the fast I desire? A day to bow your head like a bulrush? No, this is the fast I choose, to unlock the fetters of wickedness, to let the oppressed go free, to share your bread with the hungry. Isaiah's words ring across the centuries. Jewish ritual is empty if it does not lead us to justice and compassion. Jewish survival is hollow if it is not bound to holiness. That applies as much to Israel as it does to us. And our sages taught, even when the land of Israel lies desolate, it preserves its holiness. If our ancestors clung to Israel's holiness in exile and destruction, how much more so must we cling to her now, in this complexity, in this heartbreak, and in our hope? After all, Yom Kippur came to be after we broke our word and worshiped an idol, the golden calf. And in response, God didn't turn away from us. God forgave us with unconditional love. God taught we are not here to keep the Torah, but instead, the Torah is here to lift us up. But to what end? Pirkei Avot, our text of ethics, answers with, in a world where nobody is human, strive to be human. This is the work of the day. This is the work of Israel. This is the work of all of us. So right now, peace feels kind of far away. Israel feels fragile. The world feels hostile. And yet, even in the darkness, we had a glimmer of possibility that appeared just this week. A 20-point proposal, a framework that would exchange ceasefire and 100% hostage release for demilitarization of Hamas and reconstruction of Gaza. It is far from certain, and Hamas did not accept it. But whether or not it ever becomes a reality, it reminds us of something we too easily forget. Even in the hardest times, a door can crack open. That crack is not certainty, but it is possibility. And possibility is the seedbed of hope. Our tradition teaches us that every proposal, every attempt at peace must be tested by Torah's values. Does it reflect God's attributes of compassion and mercy? Does it pursue truth? Does it protect life and dignity? And if so, it can become a vessel for the hidden light, the Or HaGanuz, that Isaiah and our sages call us to reveal. And if it falls short, then our task is not despair, but to responsibility, to hold our leaders accountable and demand that even political strategy be measured by holiness. And here is where we come in. We who sit here, thousands of miles away from the Holy Land, we're not powerless. Our hope must not be passive. It must be active in prayer, in advocacy, in generosity, in refusing to let cynicism be our only story. If this fragile framework blossoms into peace, we will need to ensure it is guided by humanity and justice. If it collapses, we must not retreat into despair. Our covenant is to hope anyway, to hope with open eyes, to hope with fierce love, to hope until the light breaks through. So how do we carry this charge here in Henderson, Nevada, far from Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Haifa, Ramat HaNegev, or the Gaza envelope? We, the Jews of the diaspora, have sacred responsibilities too. First, we stand proud of our Jewish identity, refusing to let anti-Semitism define us or silence us. We support Israel, giving tzedakah, visiting, writing letters, and advocating for her security, while also praying for her moral strength. We teach our children to love Israel with eyes wide open, to sing her songs, learn her history, and hold her future with both pride and honesty. And we hold on to hope, not a naive hope, but a courageous one. The hope that insists Israel can still be a land flowing with milk and honey, a place of justice, dignity, a light among the nations. From those first words of Torah Yehior, let there be light, and there was light. And there still is. When I set out to write this, I battled fear of disagreement, writer's block, and the weight of this moment. But I knew, on this holiest of days, I couldn't stay silent about Israel, because hope itself is a mitzvah, a commandment, a way of living in defiance of despair. And the hope is not mine alone. You, our community, told me your dreams of Israel 20 years from now, a land without war, a state that embodies Torah and justice, a place where empathy guides leaders, a shelter in the storm. Some of you said simply, I hope she still exists. That honesty is painful, and yet every single response was rooted in hope. A couple of weeks ago, my son Emmett asked me, while watching the 1998 DreamWorks cartoon film Prince of Egypt, Mommy, what does it mean, a land flowing with milk and honey? Are the houses made of milk and honey? I told him it's a metaphor, that the land is so amazing, so historic, it is where our people could finally settle, grow, and prosper. He thought for a moment and said, well, I want to go there. And I said, you will. We will. And you'll understand. His yearning is the same hope that lives in us, the same hope that you voiced when I asked what Israel might look like in 20 years. Rav Kook reminds us, just as love of Israel requires criticism, so too does criticism require love. May our hope be the bridge between the two. May it be the force that keeps us loving fiercely, criticizing honestly, and refusing to give in to despair. So let us bless Israel together. May she be a shelter and a light in the storms of the world. May she be a place of pride and peace. May she embody the words of our Israeli national anthem, Hatikva, which means the hope. That as long as the Jewish soul still yearns, our hope is not lost. And together we say, Am Yisrael Chai. Let me hear it. Am Yisrael Chai. Thank you.